most of you belong to different nationalities, but do you understand English? You do. And what about them? They do not respond to my question, which means they do not understand English. So somebody will have to translate the video cassette and give them as a gift, so they should also understand what was passing on here. Please.
Could Hazur please shed some light on the issue of consumption of gelatin?
You can consume it by heat if you like. There is no objection whatsoever for you consuming gelatin, because gelatin is not a live tissue. Haram and halal have their own areas. They belong to the area of life or death. So anything which is considered to be haram, if it has gone through a fundamental change in its character and its chemistry, then it is no longer the same thing which is originally forbidden. The example of this can be observed daily for beautiful fruits and vegetables growing out of dunghills. What is dung? It's forbidden and it's filthy. But when it undergoes a transformation and chemically a new thing is born, then the nature of the dunghill does not make it forbidden, because it's a new creation. The same is the case of gelatin. Gelatin, as it passes through the process of extreme heat and other pressures, it is no longer a live tissue. It becomes a transformed chemical, and chemicals are not forbidden. So anybody who may have entertained some hesitation can eat as much jelly as he likes. Please.
Question from Mr. Richard Norton from the School of Law, Kingston University. Will Your Holiness please clarify what is meant when the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him, is described as the last of the prophets? Does it mean that he is the last in time? There can be no prophets after him? Or does it mean that he is the norm and standard by which later revelations might be judged?
If I give a short answer but satisfactory at the same time, I will remind you of two things. Number one, the Prophet of God, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who himself claimed to be the last prophet, also predicted the advent of a new prophet, Jesus Christ. Now, is that contradiction? Most certainly not. It shows, with the help of another hadith, that until the time of the appearance of Jesus, there will be no prophet born between the time of Muhammad ﷺ and the time of Jesus. There is a very clear prediction. La Nabiya Baini wa Bainahu. There will be no prophet, he said, between me and the advent of Jesus. So the word, the meaning of last is settled once and forever, because he was a better custodian of his qualities than the mullahs can ever be. So what he predicted was that in between the period no prophet will come, but when Jesus comes he would still be a prophet. So it solves the issue of last altogether. The second point to be noted is that Jesus is accepted by the mullahs to be a prophet of God after the advent of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, But they say because it will be the old Jesus who will be brought back from past, so he would not violate the quality of Prophet Muhammad being last. Now, this is a very involved and unacceptable argument. If Jesus is brought back from the past periods only to bypass the issue of Rasulullah being last, then this is not a divine act of wisdom. In fact, it is very stupid to declare Rasulullah to be last, while Allah knew all the time that a time would come when people of his ummah would need a prophet. So according to the mullahs, to resolve this problem, God decided that all right, I'll keep a prophet alive from the past ages, and he will be dispatched to somewhere in space, waiting for his return. When the time comes that the ummah of Rasulullah requires a prophet, sorry, then he will be brought back. Now this is absurdity upon absurdity. First of all, the Prophet they say will be brought back in person is declared by the Holy Quran to be categorically dead. No verses more than dealing with this subject in case of Jesus can be found in dealing with other prophets and their deaths. His death is so much emphasized and so repeatedly emphasized that these verses leave no doubt for us to entertain the view that Jesus of the past is dead. So if he is dead, how can he come back? That is the point. So this shows that the prophet who is promised is someone in his name, is someone in his character, someone in his style. And that is exactly the claim of Hadhrat Mirza Sahib, that he is not personally the same Jesus who appeared 2000 years ago or so. He is a spiritual manifestation of the same Jesus, and because he shares some qualities of old Jesus, so he is named the promised Messiah. This is the case of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya with relation to the word last. Right? Okay. Next, please.
Do we have time to proceed, Hazur? Because there's several more questions and...
Of course.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Right. Question from Mr. Muhammad Akram from Birmingham. A question about divorce. Some Muslim scholars believe that women cannot seek divorce from their husbands. Others believe contrary to it. What is the truth?
They're wrong. Women can seek divorce from their husbands. In fact, divorce is made easier for women in Islam than it is made for men. At the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and remember, we must learn our Islam from him, not from the mullahs of today. A woman appeared to the Holy Prophet ﷺ and said, "O Prophet of Allah, I seek divorce from my husband." The Prophet turned to her, peace and blessings upon him, and said, "What is wrong with that person?" She said, "Nothing." She said, "Does he treat you ill?" He said, "Certainly not." "What is the reason? Why do you seek divorce?" She said, "There is no reason, but having tried my best, my heart cannot be set upon him. I have not been able to begin to love him. And what is the purpose of marriage if I can't love him?" The Holy Prophet said, "Yes, you have a right case for divorce." And she declared her divorce valid immediately. Now this is how women were granted the right to take divorce at the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ.